Hey everyone, Omar Santana-Gomez. I use he, him pronouns here with you for another installment of our Equity in Session video series. Today, I wanted to do a check-in on where we are in session, followed by our usual bill updates from Patrick. For some background, the time frame for session is created from our state constitution, so the deadlines are strictly followed, which will come up again later in the segment. So this last week, we saw another major event on our session calendar. On Tuesday, February 13th, the 37th day of session, we had a cutoff, which was the last day to consider bills in House of Origin. Also, I think saying House of Origin is a little confusing, considering we have the House and the Senate. We have the House chamber and the Senate chamber. So I'll say it's the last day to consider bills in Chamber of Origin. For reference also, we'll attach the 2024 session cutoff calendar in our notes so you can see the calendar I am referring to. So what this all means is that bills that didn't pass in the chamber they are in won't be advancing anymore this session. As an example, we have our digital equity bill, House Bill 2313, that we have been tracking. We had a lot of support for the bill. It even made it on the House floor calendar. Unfortunately, we had several last-minute amendments come up. And because we have that 5 p.m. constitutionally imposed deadline, we can't get passed. Legislators can't work overtime here. The chamber can't spend too much time on one bill. So as a result, the decision was made to move from further discussion on HB 2313 and move on to other bills awaiting votes for passage. And so HB 2313, furthering digital equity, won't be continuing this session. Dang, so I guess this week I'm giving the bad news. However, don't worry, Patrick is going to end us on a good note with next steps on bills that didn't pass, how some of this great work will survive session, and also bills we are eager to continue showing support that are alive and well and continuing with the legislative process this session. But before I send it over to Patrick, I just wanted to offer up a teaser for next week's video. We'll be partnering with the Commission on Asian Pacific American Affairs to learn more about the important work being done over there at CAPA. That's all I'll say for now. Patrick, close us out with some legislative updates.
Thanks, Omar. Hi, everybody. It's Patrick Stickney, he, him pronouns, for another Bills to Watch. Omar shared the bad news on House Bill 2313, but the good news is that the office is exploring different ways to be able to do the same work. As for the other bills that we have previously discussed, House Bill 2209, celebrating the New Year, and House Bill 1541, the Nothing About Us Without Us Act, both had hearings in their opposite chamber on Friday, February 16th. Omar testified for the office on House Bill 1541, and we're excited to share his testimony. We'll include a link to the entire hearing too in the video description below.
Good morning, Chair Hunt, Vice Chair Valdez, Ranking Member Wilson, and members of the committee. My name is Omar Santana-Gomez, here representing the Washington State Office of Equity. We support everything conceptually about second and gross, second substitute House Bill 1541, but it's not in the governor's budget, so we're signing in as other. HB 1541 establishes the Nothing About Us Without Us Act. It emphasizes that certain populations are almost entirely unrepresented in policymaking, yet are disproportionately impacted by government decisions. This bill stems from the shared recognition that those closest to the problem are closest to the solution. The phrase "nothing about us without us" has a long history and found its modern usage among the disability rights movement and advocating for full and direct participation in all decisions that impact their lives. We strive to ensure all Washingtonians have full access to the opportunities, resources, and power they need to flourish and achieve their full potential. HB 1541 gets us closer to this vision. We believe HB 1541 will help Washington set the example to the rest of the nation on how to meaningfully engage with the communities we serve. Thank you.
As for the other bills, House Bill 1954, regarding reproductive health care services and gender-affirming treatment, Senate Bill 6127, increasing access to HIV prevention and medication therapies, Senate Bill 5462, promoting inclusive learning standards and instructional materials in public schools, Senate Bill 5983, relating to implementing recommendations from the 2002 STI and Hepatitis B Legislative Advisory Group, House Bill 2230, the Economic Security for All grant program, and Senate Bill 5955 regarding equity in large court districts have also all been heard or are scheduled to be heard in the relevant opposite chamber policy committees. All of these bills have until Wednesday, February 21st to make it out of their policy committees, and then those that must go to a fiscal committee will have to make it out of that committee by Monday, February 26th. So that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching, and check in next week for more Equity in Session.